As I remember it, the challenge was, as in the case of any piece of narrative, is you come with a certain givens. Like the director wanted this starting scene of an abbess dying, and money is needed, and there's no money, and a shadowy figure has taken the money. So that's the setup. That's the situation, dramaturgical situation. And then it's trying to find enough of a body of narrative plot that, as it unfolds, picks up meanings and offers meanings. It's been so long that I had to actually go over and look at my notes and look at the script to see what's the plot. And of course, I remember the basic emotion of the story. So I think of it as a road movie, really. And the road movie is very simple in its basic story situation, which is that up in the mountains in Mustang, just north of Jomsom, a revered abbess is dying, and rituals need to be performed so that she can have a better chance of a rebirth in a good form. So, and the problem is there's no money, and the reason why there's no money, among others, is that a certain Mr. Tashi, a kind of a shadowy figure, has mysteriously been given this loan, this huge sum of money by the abbess, and nobody knows why. So that's the basic setup. So it's also a road movie in the sense that the story takes us with the protagonist, this nun, Karma, who goes to find Mr. Tashi to get back the money. So therefore she traverses this terrain from the northern Bhotia Buddhist culture across the hills down to the Tarai. So it's a chance to kind of show how different communities view the other. Because in Nepal, as we know, there are actually many communities, many cultural systems, many worldviews, all in this one society. So it was a good, when you write a script, you look for what are the innate advantages or interesting points that is afforded to you by the story situation, as it were. So Karma is this unusual nun, unusual in the sense that she's not a typical good textbook nun who does all the right things. She's in fact the opposite, the contrary. And so we have this spiritual, sacred setting where the abbess has just died or is dying, and you get a chance to show what the rituals, what the culture, what the worldview normatively is. And this nun, in a way, stands in opposition to this. She's different, she's contrary, she doesn't really adhere to the rules, as it were. And so, in a sense, it's unmasking, or it's demystifying that there's something sacred, even in a setting that is sacred. And in reality, that's how it is. Just because an institution is sacred, just because it's a monastery up in the mountains, it's not like everybody's enlightened beings. So it's just a way to kind of see something that most of us as human beings can relate to, which are people, whether they come in a nun's garb or a monk's garb. And Karma is no different. And what's going for her is, in fact, the fact that she's different, and she's not a textbook nun, and she's not good in recitations and in prayers, but she has a natural humanity. She has she's in not being a good nun, in not having taken on the kind of mindset of what a good nun should be. In fact, she's allowed to be herself, and being a self, maybe means that before you improve, before you get enlightenment, before you go somewhere, you've got to kind of acknowledge where you are at the moment. Before any progress is made, you sort of have to illuminate to understand where you are. That's the key. So this is really the basic premise of the story, and it was like all scripts, or like any piece of narrative. You're really looking at a puzzle. You have the premise, you have certain givens, and then you see what kind of a narrative it can support, what kind of meaning it can support. And so she goes off on this road trip, and there's all these assumptions and ideas about who this shadowy figure is, who's mysteriously been given this huge vat of money by the abbess. And while she makes this journey, she traverses the whole breadth of Nepal, and therefore comes in touch with other peoples. And then, as in a good road movie, you get to see the kind of interactions that show who each person is of the other community.